Hello everyone, my name is Carlos Vega. I'm a student for American English uh, in the class of Dr. John Moscoso 4A. So I'm going to talk about diphtheria complications. Definition. Diphtheria is an infectious disease caused by the bacteria Corynebacterium diphtheria, which mainly infect the throat and upper respiratory tract and produce a toxin that affects other organs. Diphtheria can be treated with medicine, but in advanced stages, diphtheria can damage the heart, kidneys, and nervous system. Even with treatment, diphtheria can be deadly, especially in children. For some people, respiratory diphtheria can lead to death.
Corynebacterium diphtheriae is a pathogenic bacterium that causes diphtheria. It is a gram-positive, non-motile, club-shaped bacillus. It produces an extremely potent exotoxin known as diphtheria toxin, which alters protein function in an infected individual. The toxin can be distributed by the circulatory system to other organs and may cause paralysis and congestive heart failure. 4 subspecies of the bacteria are recognized. There are 2 types of the disease. With respiratory diphtheria, infected individuals may have a sore throat with low-grade fever and an adherent pseudomembrane of the tonsils, pharynx, or nose. Neck swelling is usually present in severe cases. Cutaneous diphtheria causes infected skin lesions which lack a characteristic appearance. Myocarditis, polyneuritis, and airway obstruction are common complications of respiratory diphtheria, and death may occur in 5 to 10% of these cases. Complications and death occur less frequently with cutaneous diphtheria. Diphtheria is found worldwide, and humans are the only known reservoir of the microbial pathogen. Person-to-person transmission occurs through oral or respiratory droplets, close physical contact, and on occasion by fomites. Cutaneous lesions are an important mode of transmission, particularly in countries with warm climates. Infections are rare in properly immunized people, although people who have been immunized may still be carriers of the bacteria. To learn more about Corynebacterium diphtheriae or other microbial pathogens and indoor air quality contaminants, please visit the website shown on the screen.
Application in medicine. According to the CDC, complications from respiratory diphtheria when the bacteria infect part of the body involved in breathing may include airway blockage, damage to heart muscle or myocarditis, nerve damage or polyneuropathy, loss of the ability to move or paralysis, and kidney failure. In the complication and treatment, even with treatment, about 1 in 10 patients with respiratory diphtheria die. Without treatment, up to half of patients can die from the disease. Diphtheria is fatal in 5 to 10% of cases, with a higher mortality rate in young children. Treatment consists of the administration of diphtheria antitoxin to neutralize the effect of the toxin, as well as antibiotics to kill the bacteria. The diphtheria vaccine is a bacterial toxoid, and a toxin whose toxicity has been inactivated. The diphtheria vaccine is effective in preventing diphtheria. The vaccination consists of a series of 5 injections, usually given in the arm or thigh.
The bacterial genus Corynebacterium describes a group of gram-positive, aerobic, rod-shaped or club-shaped bacteria, and Corynebacterium literally means club-shaped, which can be found in the soil or even commonly in human skin. The majority of them do not cause disease unless they were exposed to a wound, especially in an immunosuppressed patient. So the majority of them do not cause serious threats. Although one species, Corynebacterium diphtheriae, apparently has obtained genes for a toxin from a virus, a bacteriophage, and it causes the disease known as diphtheria. It is serious. Diphtheria can cause mortality in 5 to 10% of those who are infected, and the young and elderly are at great risk. Before the 1980s, worldwide there were more than 1 million infections per year, but that had decreased to 100,000 in 1980 and 4,500 by the year 2015. The number of deaths has dropped. In 1990, there were 8,000 deaths due to diphtheria. By 2015, it was slightly over 2,100 deaths. And between 1980 and 2004, only 57 cases of diphtheria have been known in the United States. This clearly shows the success of the vaccinations against diphtheria, and in some areas where vaccination levels have decreased, diphtheria levels have then increased. The toxin made by the bacteria binds to a specific receptor on the human cell membrane, the heparin-binding EGF-like growth factor. And this initiates receptor-mediated endocytosis, which brings the toxin into a vesicle inside the host cell. The toxin has two halves, and in the acidic environment of the vesicle, with the help of a protease, which is attempting to break down toxins, the two halves are liberated, and one half, the A half, then enters the cytosol, where it can destroy the EF2 elongation factor, which is essential for translation, the translation of proteins, and this then can cause the death of the cell.
Pros and cons. Pros. There are no pros to curing the disease. This disease can cause death, and its prevention is necessary to avoid high mortality rates, especially in children. Strict early vaccination protocols must be established to help keep the percentage of the disease reduced or null. Cons. There are many complications if the disease is not treated in time, such as respiratory problems. The bacteria that cause diphtheria can produce a toxin. This toxin damages the tissue in the area around the infection, usually the nose and throat. Hair damage. Diphtheria toxin can spread into the bloodstream and damage other tissue in the body, such as the hair muscle, causing complications such as inflammation of the hair muscle or myocarditis. Nerve injury. The toxin can also cause nerve damage. Common targets are the nerve in the throat, or poor nerve conduction can cause difficulty swallowing. And finally, as he's strong against death.
Hi guys, today we are going to look at the role of the diphtheria toxin and its mechanism of action in our body. Corynebacterium diphtheriae produces an exotoxin. Let us take a closer look at it. It is a potent cytotoxin which blocks protein synthesis in the host cell, leading to cell death within a matter of minutes. The toxin has a small central part and multiple larger peripheral parts. The peripheral parts, also called subunit B or binding unit, is a large molecule. As its name suggests, it helps in the attachment of the toxin to the host cells. The smaller central part is called the A subunit or the active unit. This part actively participates in the catalytic action, causing toxic effect in the host cells. It is important to know what the protein elongation factor 2 does to regulate protein synthesis in our cells. Protein EF2 aids in the attachment of new amino acid sequences, that is, translation, and the transfer of amino acid sequences from place to place, that is, transamination. It is this protein EF2 that gets inactivated or locked by the toxin. The toxin is released by the bacteria, which then comes in contact with other cells through the bloodstream. This toxin binds to specific receptors or toxin receptors on the cell surface through the binding unit. It is internalized by the endocytosis pathway and the toxin gains entry into the cell. This is also called receptor mediated cytosis. The toxin is inside a vesicle within the cell. Inside this, the subunits separate and the A subunit diffuses out into the cytoplasm. This A subunit takes up NAD by the process of ADP ribosylation. With the help of this NAD, the A subunit gains access to the protein elongation factor 2 that we just discussed. Here, it irreversibly inhibits the protein elongation factor 2. We know that PEF2 is essential for translation and transamination. Since the EF2 is bound to the A subunit, it is unable to perform its essential actions of translation and transamination. This blocks protein synthesis in the host cell, which instantly leads to death of the host cell. I hope you guys have understood the mechanism of this important toxin. Please do like this video and subscribe to our channel.
Issue applied in Ecuador. According to the last WHO data published from 1918 and 1919, deaths caused by diphtheria in Ecuador have reached 1, that is 0% of all deaths. The mortality rate by age is 0 per 1,000 of the population. Conclusion. In conclusion, diphtheria is a life-threatening disease in infants. This disease has managed to be eradicated through vaccination and preventive measures such as childcare. This disease can damage several organs thanks to the toxin it produces. It is vital to always follow the early vaccination schedule to keep the disease at bay. Thank you.